Welcome into the Matt Return. I'm Evan Smith.
I'm Andrew Deal.
And I'm AJ Piazza.
And today we've got your Big Ten Championship preview. The pre-seeds just came out, so we'll walk you through what we think is going to happen this weekend. Andrew, 125, what's your pick?
Yeah, I really don't think there's any question here. There's, I think, two weight classes that are really, cemented as there's a top favorite and then the rest of the pack. And this is one of them at 125 with Matt Ramos from Purdue. He is second in the nation in tech falls behind Mitchell Messenbrink, who we'll get to later. And he's 13 tech falls on the year, and I don't really think there's too much competition for him. If he were to face Penn State's Luke Lillidahl, it would be in the semifinals because Lillidahl sits at the number 4 ranking for this tournament, but I don't think there's really any competition. Ramos is going to take this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think Matt Ramos, I'm honestly going to keep my answer pretty short and sweet. I think he is going to dominate this weight class, especially in the Big Ten, and even when we get to the national championship. But for this Big Ten, I think Ramos wins pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm going to say, it's the basic pick, Ramos over Caleb Smith. You don't like picking 1 versus 2, but to me, those two have just kind of been higher up on the totem pole. Dean Peterson's been good, but Caleb Smith has looked like he outmatched him, and Luke Lillidahl, it'll be fun to see him take him on. And the advantage is, if Luke Lillidahl beats him in the semis, I think that'll carry the momentum and have him win it in the finals. But looking down the weight class, is there anybody that you think could take a step up?
Actually, yeah, I think there could be a surprise. I'm going to go with Brandon McCrone from Ohio State. We saw him, defeat Luke Lillidahl in pretty impressive fashion. And, if that's something that, it's one of those things that is really surprising.
I'm not saying to win, but I do like your pick of McCrone. I want to look down and say Nicolas Rivera is a guy that could shock some people because he actually beat Dean Peterson. Didn't have much success outside of that, losing to 3 other guys in the weight class. But he's a guy that can pull off a couple upsets going forward in this bracket.
To be a little different here, I'll go Joey Cruz from Iowa. Has lost to a couple of the guys ahead of him. He's ranked 5th. But in this instance, under these circumstances, I feel like you kind of have to lean towards the Iowa guy in this scenario.
Moving up to 133, we'll start with Andrew again.
I really think it's a 1-2 battle here, a two-headed monster, I guess you could say, in this bracket. I am going to go Drake Ayala over Lucas Bird to win the Big Ten championship. Fun fact, a lot of these guys moved up from 125 last year. Braden Davis and Dylan Shaver, who ranked 4th and 5th, Shaver from Rutgers, faced off in the 125-pound Big Ten championship last year at 125. So definitely some wrestlers that could give it a go again, but Ayala has been on another level this year, and I feel like it's hard to go against him.
Yeah, I'm going to actually go against him. I've been really impressed with Lucas Bird. I agree with you. I think it's a 1-2 monster at this weight class, but I'm going to pick Bird over Ayala. And honestly, I don't really have a reason why other than that I've just been impressed with Bird in the third period specifically so far this season. So I think when it comes to these, championship matches, that's pretty crucial. So I think Bird could beat Ayala for the Big Ten championship.
See, I want to say that I can pick Bird over Ayala, but he's just been dominant. 56% bonus rate in 6 techs in arguably his best competition that he's faced in his career. So I'm going to ride the hot hand and go with Drake Ayala. And then looking down for some sleepers, I'm going to go with Nick Bouzakis out of Ohio State because he doesn't have the track record per se, but he has beaten number 5 in the class and a couple other ranked guys, and he's got that big move potential. We saw him when he faced Braden Davis. Dang near gave me a heart attack with that roll-up attempt.
Yeah.
So he's the kind of guy that can steal a match every here and then. So Nick Bouzakis is the guy that you could see going further than his number 13 ranking.
I guess you could say this is a sleeper just because he hasn't wrestled a lot this year, but I am going to go for a sleeper pick here, Braden Davis. He's ranked 4th, so a little bit higher than your pick in Bouzakis, who's 9th. But Davis hasn't wrestled a lot this year. He's been dealing with injuries. Cale Sanderson this past week said that it's the healthiest he's been since the beginning of the season. So we're going to see basically a fully healthy Braden Davis compete here. And you never know what could happen in the Big Ten tournaments. And he's had success in these tournaments last year. He was down a weight class, but he still had success. And he could repeat it again and get his second Big Ten championship.
Yeah, I'm going to pick a sleeper as well. I'm going to say Braxton Brown from Maryland. I feel like he's the first guy that's a little lesser tier than the top two in this class. I think he's been really dominant. He's 20-2, and I just feel like he continues to move up the rankings, and he could surprise some people, especially if he ends up facing Bird. Maybe he wins that and faces Ayala in the championship, and when it comes to that, who knows? But yeah, I think Brown could be a guy that could surprise some people.
Now up to 141. Gosh, guys, I wonder what your pick's going to be for the championship match. Can we just all assume we've got the same?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have.
Do we even need to say it, guys?
Who do you have winning?
Oh no, I'm saying about just the
matchup.
final match
The
itself.
matchup. Yes.
With that said, Andrew, who do you have winning said match?
So I was at media this past week, and Bo Bartlett looked so energized, so excited, so eager to wrestle. He said it's going to be hard to not go 100 miles per hour this week leading up to the tournament. And that kind of mentality and how he's so ready to just wrestle again this weekend, I think he gets it done again. I think maybe a little bit higher scoring, not the 4-1, 4-2 we've seen from Bartlett Mendez in the past 5 matchups, I guess you could say. And yeah, I'm going to go Bo Bartlett. Gets it done here. First Penn State wrestler to win the Big Ten title.
Yeah, I'm torn with this. Obviously, it's a difficult pick, but the Bartlett that we've seen recently has been the Bartlett that I think many fans have expected to see. So with that, I'd say Bartlett wins, but I'm picking that one of those 4-1 or 4-2 wins. I don't think any match between these two will even go higher than that. But I'll pick Bartlett to become the first Knitting Lion to win a national Big Ten championship.
Man, we're getting these two tournaments messed up, mess.
It's a mess today.
Man, we're filming on a Wednesday. It's
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either the Monday break fall was bag. Oh. Anyways, landmines to watch out for down the bracket. 141, honestly, there's really not much depth outside the top 4 guys, but there is some guys listed lower that could pull off some upsets. Andrew, you got one of them?
Yeah, looking here, I think I'm going to go Joseph Olivieri from Rutgers. He's ranked, let me get back to it, ranked 6th here for the tournament, ranked 13th in the country overall. Has 15-6 this year, and I don't really have any reasoning behind it, just kind of gut feeling when I look down the board here that he could make some noise. Would face Brock Hardy in the quarterfinals, that would be, and then that would set up him potentially facing Mendez in the semis.
Yeah, I'll jump in on there because that was a guy that I was going to pick. Not as a guy that's going to win it because we've seen him face the top of the class, and he's lost to Vance Bumbar and Bo Bartlett. But we haven't seen him against Lemley, Hardy, or Mendez. Granted, Mendez being up in that higher tier, I don't think he'd really stand much of a chance. But he's been a tough out. That match against Bartlett wasn't necessarily a dominant victory. Granted, that was during the time where Bo Bartlett didn't look like this energetic Bo Bartlett. But Olivieri is another one. When you're looking down for some surprises in a conference tournament, you're really just looking for some guys who can get an upset or two, not that can win it. Joey Olivieri, I think, fits that the best.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to find one, but I'd pick Brock Hardy to. I don't know if he could win it, but I could see him making it to the Big Ten championship.
Now we're going to 149, and I think this one's a 3-dog race. This is going to be really fun, and I'm honestly still deciding who to pick there, so I'm going to let you two pick first.
Yeah, and actually these rankings were kind of up in the air. They couldn't really get it wrong because they all beat each other in a sense, where Ridge Lovett beat Shane Van Ness. Van Ness beat Parco. Parco then beat Lovett. So kind of this circle that they've created within themselves. And I think Van Ness actually is the best draw here. He won't have to face either of those two until the finals, where those two would have to face each other in the semifinals. If it goes in order of rankings, he would have to face Dylan D'Amelio in the semis. Again, D'Amelio from Ohio State, but Van Ness, if I remember correctly, got a pretty strong win there to really back up Bartlett's win over Mendez in that duel. And I'm going to say Shane Van Ness does get it done here and wins the Big Ten title.
Yeah, for me, actually, it's between Van Ness and Lovett. I think Lovett will beat Parco, and I'm curious to see how that would go because, Lovett beat them the first go-around, beat Van Ness the first go-around. But I think Van Ness would beat him in a second match just because, there were some rumors that he was sick and, he wasn't really at his, top-tier performance. So
yeah.
I think Van Ness, when he's at his, max potential, is the guy to beat. So I'm going to go with Van Ness.
Yeah, I'm also going to pick Van Ness. I'm not going to say that Ridge Lovett beating Shane Van Ness was a fluke, but I will say the way and the manner that he did was a fluke. That's something Shane Van Ness likely won't let happen again. And the vibe I'm getting is Lovett over Parco. Maybe it's my Andrew Deal wanting the storyline to play out. So I'll go with Shane Van Ness over Ridge Lovett. Now down the 149. Anyone that you think could make a run, maybe take that number 4 slot?
Yeah, nobody really stands out here compared to the other ones. I feel like this one, it's 3 guys, then a drop-off. And it's going to be really hard for the rest of the group to compete against those top 3.
Yes. Honestly, when I look at it, it's like there's the 3 big guys, then there's Dylan DeMilio and Team of his own. And then if you look down to the next 5, it's kind of like the situation with the top 3 where they all cannibalize each other. So at the bottom of the top 5, it's basically a foot race between Cannon Webster, Andrew Clark, Sam Cartella, Cal Miller, and Dylan Gilcher. I think those last 2 are the guys that I'm most excited to watch. Dylan Gilcher just showed me a lot in some of the matches that I would watch outside of Penn State. And Cal Miller, it's kind of just vibes. Speaking of vibes, the vibes have been crazy at 157. Number one in the rankings, Tyler Casack is not number 1 in this tournament. Andrew, do you think number 1 takes number 1?
I actually don't think Ethan Miller will make it to the Big Ten Championship. I think this could be a Casack versus Ja'Cory Teamer Part 2. Obviously, that was a pretty electric match for Tyler Casack, but, Teamer is one of the best wrestlers in the country. Even though he's ranked 4 for this seeding, he still has a solid resume, and it's a tough pick for me, honestly. Oh, man. I'm going to say Casack. I'm gonna take Casack over Teamer in their second match.
So, kind of to answer your question and also answer another question that you didn't even ask.
Is it even answering it then?
I think Ethan Miller should be number 1 just because he got the win over Casack. It was an injury forfeit, and Casack couldn't finish the match. He was up 1-0 in the second period, but couldn't finish it after going into concussion protocol. He seems to be back to normal. And I kind of agree with what you said, that it's really weird with how these seedings are compared to the intermat rankings, because Ja'Cory Teamer is 4th in this. He's the number 4 seed. He's ranked 3rd in the country.
Yeah. And Miller, number 1, is ranked number 5.
Yeah, so it's really all over the place. I think Intermat kind of understood that Casack lost because of a injury forfeit, and I think Casack Teamer once again in the finals after Teamer takes down Ethan Miller in the semis, and I think Casack gets it done. He's looked like a man on a mission this year, trying to prove not only that he, at the beginning of the season, should be the starter, but also now proving that he is one of, if not the best wrestler in this weight class.
See, I'm in a spot here where I can't if Tyler Casack is going to be the guy in the finals, which I will predict. I can't decide if I want the Miller rematch or the Teamer rematch, because that Teamer match was really impressive, but that wasn't a fully healthy Ja'Cory Teamer. So this one might be a different story, at least be tougher. Worst case scenario, it's definitely going to be almost as entertaining as that first one was. And we also didn't get to see Ethan Miller versus Tyler Casack
fully.
Yeah. Well, we saw, 30 seconds?
A minute?
I thought it was in the second period.
No, I think it was
in the
first period.
And what I noticed in that match was Miller, ended up being kind of dirty in the fans' eyes. He was doing a good strategy. If you got a guy with an eye injury, target it.
Yeah.
So I think even if it's a healed Tyler Kazak, Miller would be the kind of guy that would scout around him and make that an interesting match. I still think Ja'Cory Teamer is going to step up, though, in the tournament, and we'll get that rematch. And I'm going to risk it, and I'll say Ja'Cory Teamer takes down Tyler Kazak. I will say, though, this shouldn't be a 3-horse race when you got Antrell Taylor of Nebraska sitting down there. The only guy he lost to was Tyler Kazak in the conference. Only other loss was to Ryder Downey, who's going to be ranked up with these guys in the conference tournament. So he could easily make a run, even Joey Blaze from Purdue.
Yeah, I was going to mention Joey Blaze. He's 15-4 on the year and has kind of been, I guess you could say, like behind the pack with these like top four, where it's been these top four and then Blaze has been right behind them. Interesting that he's 6th behind Tommy Askey, who in the Intermat rankings is 1 spot behind Joey Blaze. So some interesting decisions here with the rankings. These are preliminary rankings, though, and Blaze could make some noise, potentially taking down Taylor in the quarterfinals if it were to get to that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with Tommy Askey. I feel like when people talk about Minnesota, obviously the go-to guy is Gable Steveson, but Askey's had a solid season himself, 20-3, really sitting tight in that 8th spot in the weight class, but he's a guy that could make some noise depending on how, his bracket could work out. He could get the, lucky and end up even, getting to the championship.
165.
Okay, well.
I think the bigger question here is who faces Mitchell Messenbrink in the finals.
Yeah.
Even then, it's a gap with Mikey Caliendo.
Right. But I feel like there's more of a chance that he doesn't face Caliendo than he doesn't make the finals.
Yeah. It's a hard conversation to have because Mr. Messenbrink just is going to win.
Yeah. I don't even think
there's no question.
No, I don't even know if we really need to go over this.
He's just so far above everybody else.
Yeah.
So I guess the one thing we can do is the lower down land. Oh, jeez.
Dude, this is how you know it's Wednesday.
The sleeper picks, man. Sorry, I was thinking about some of the Mitchell Messenbrink quotes. And he's just so much smarter than me that it breaks my brain. I was trying to make some sort of life as a verb joke, and then I just got lost in the landmine of whatever Mitchell Messenbrink says when he speaks. I need to take there's got to be philosophy 405 mind of Messenbrink course, and I think everybody would fail it. But I'm gonna go for my sleeper pick, Patty Gallagher. Do I have him down at number 9? Yeah, he's number 9. He's the kind of guy, he's got a history of winning big matchups. His only conference loss was to Mikey Caliendo out of this field. So he's the kind of guy that I'm going to say can make a run into that top 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go, I lost him. Oh, Bo Mantanona from Michigan. He was if I remember correctly, the only guy that didn't lose by tech fall to Messenbrink. And that's
stole my pick. You stole my pick, bro.
I guess we're just reading each other's minds today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty predictable class. 165 is the one. Even in the national tournament, there's just really not much to discuss out of it.
Yeah.
He stole my pick.
You want to add anything?
No, that's my pick.
All right. Speaking of the picks, 174. I think we all have the same winner pick here.
Yes.
Yeah. It's Levi Haynes. Yep. The real question is, what does he do in the Nationals against? I mean, he's ranked number 2. He lost to Keegan O'Toole. Dean Hamady is also really good. I think he faces Carson Karchla from Ohio State in the finals, and I think it's closer, but he does get the job done. Haynes being the 1 seed, Karchla being the 2 seed out of Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I don't know how likely this is going to be, but I'm going to go way off the board here. I'm going to say Danny Bronigal will face Levi Haynes in the Big Ten Championship. For Haynes, this was one of the closest matches he's had, and Bronigal looked really impressive in that. It was a close victory for Haynes, 5-1, but Bronigal really didn't let Haynes do a ton, which I was very surprised about, considering at the time of that match he was ranked 23 in the country, but that's a match that I'd like to see again, and if possible, I think Haynes will win, but that could be a cool Big Ten championship.
Honestly, I wanted to take Patrick Kennedy, but since he's the 4 seed, it's not a way that they can face in the finals unless they shuffle a little bit. And just based on the rankings, it doesn't seem likely that's going to happen. So it's basically a debate between Hartzler and Pinto, because both of them in conference only lost to Levi Haynes, didn't face each other. Just because you said Carson Hartzler, I'm going to have to say Lenny Pinto just to change it up a bit. And looking down the weight class, honestly, I think Dan Bronigal is the good pick for a sleeper, and you picked him as your champion, so we don't have to discuss much there. Anything, Andrew, do you have any guy?
That's kind of the guy that I was looking at as well, Danny Bronigal. So
copying my answer again. Okay.
Well,
okay.
Fight it out.
Interesting stuff.
All right. We'll let the tension settle down on that side of the room. Jump up to 184. And speaking of tension, we can finally get it.
Yeah. It wouldn't be for the national championship, though. It would be for or not the national championship. We're really getting these.
Yeah,
confused.
fourth time.
Yeah, we're
Big
a mess
Ten
today, guys.
championship.
Just a reminder that we are student journalists. We're learning.
We're a mess today.
Big Ten championship. They would not be competing for that. It would be for in the semifinals, Starachi against Gabe Arnold. That would be a really fun match. And then to really build on that, if Starachi beats Arnold, first off, I'm after seeing, I am blanking on his name. 1 second, Angelo Ferrari. They're seeing him.
The
compete.
other guy.
Yeah.
Could just call him the other guy.
I think the other guy actually is better. Like he got the big win.
Yeah.
Over Dustin Plott of Oklahoma State in the duel between Oklahoma State and Iowa.
And notably, the only guy to beat Dustin Plott not named Parker Kikaisen in like the last 2 or 3 years.
It was kind of a defensive battle. That's what Ferrari is known for, and Ferrari was able to get the job done. I kind of understand why Arnold is being the guy here, but Ferrari has looked good against not only Dustin Plott, but also Starachi, where it was a much closer match than a lot of people were expecting. And I think Starachi gets past Arnold, and if he faces Max McAnally, it's like a old guy versus young guy type of thing, where Max McAnally is a freshman and is undefeated, 18-0, same record as Starachi. I think that would be a really cool matchup to see happen in the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, it's like a passing down of the baton, almost, if you think about it. The match I'm most excited to see is Starachi versus Arnold. Basically, I'm just going to copy Andrew, which seems to be the common theme on this side of the table. But yeah, I think McAnally would be cool just to see, as you said, a freshman versus, that passing of the baton. I think Starachi's going to win this weight class, though, pretty easily, but that match I'm curious to see how it goes just because both are undefeated. And obviously Starachi has a lot more experience in things like this, but I'd be excited to see that one.
Yeah, you guys have heard me talking all week that I'm extremely excited to see Carter Starachi take on Max McAnally. With that said, though, I think Max McAnally is like the next in line to be the top guy at 184. But I think Carter Starachi, and I'll extend that down to Parker Kikaisen, are generational talents. So I don't think McAnally stands much of a chance. With that said, the Starachi-Arnold match, finally that storyline can pay off.
Yeah.
So hopefully it ends up getting there, but you never know with Gabe Arnold. He might scratch right before. Looking down, though, the one guy that I want to shout out as a guy who can jump his way up would be Jaden Bullock. Is he ranked number 10?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. He hasn't lost anyone in the conference outside the top 5. So if you're looking for a guy who can jump above that ranking, Jaden Bullock has it in the bag. Not in the bag, but like he's in the best position
I get what
to
you're saying.
take over those next 4 spots ahead of him. Oh. No one?
I don't really see, out of the top 4, Jackson Smith is good, but if I remember correctly, Starachi dominated him.
Yeah, he did.
So out of those top 4, or besides those top 4, it's really a drop-off. And I was going to say Edmund Ruth, but then I remembered that he disqualified against Starachi because of stalling, and it was going to be a tech fall, I believe, anyways. I'll still say him. He's a guy that is kind of working his way up and has been a pretty good piece for Illinois this year. He's also in his final season, so there's a lot of seniors in this class, not only in the Big Ten but in the overall national outlook of this class. But I will say Edmund Ruth for the guy that could kind of sneak his way into the finals.
Yeah, I'll say, oh boy, here we go. Shane Cartagena-Walsh from Rutgers.
You got that right?
Oh, let's go.
I
I'm
didn't.
basing this. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'm basing this just off of his previous match with Strachey. Through the first two periods, it was pretty close, and he was playing really solid defense. And then in the third period is where it got out of hand, but just could be competitive to see. Yeah.
Up at 197, the 3-horse race. This is going to be the real fun one. Andrew, pick your winner.
We've talked. You've said to me before, I'm big on storylines. I've said it multiple times.
Here we go with the storyline.
Josh Barr, Stephen Buchanan in the final. Josh Barr gets it done. He said those 2 weeks he didn't think he wrestled that great. Stayed really competitive with Buchanan. Buchanan has looked really good despite the close match with Barr. And I think the obvious pick here would be Buchanan, but I'm going to go Josh Barr takes down Buchanan, gets past the guy that he lost to earlier in the season, and gets his revenge.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say for the storyline. Actually, crazy stuff. I'll go different. I'll say Buchanan beats Barr again. I don't see it as a three-headed monster. I really see it as Barr and Buchanan in this weight class, and I think it'd be really close again. I'll go with Buchanan over Barr.
Now, call me crazy, but I'm honestly going to pick for the storyline. I'm going to go with Josh Barr versus Stephen Buchanan, too. I think, honestly, I think Andrew just defined it best for what I'm thinking, and I'm not going to doubt Josh Barr's words yet because he hasn't given us a reason to.
Right.
And especially, the way he handled that loss. And honestly, I talked about it, how he sat there with Aaron Brooks and Bo Nickel. Who better to talk to you? And since then, he's been right back to being Josh Barr, handled Cardenas. So I'm going to go with Josh Barr taking a step up over Stephen Buchanan, entering the national championship tournament as the 1 seed, because AJ Ferrari will probably be hiding from anyone with a 10 seed or higher. All right, and for the main event match, 285. Let's be honest, it's gonna be Gable Stevenson versus Greg Kirkfleet.
Yeah, I will give respect to the rest of the class. This class is loaded. A lot of top 10 guys, a lot of top 15 guys. Kirkfleet, Stevenson, I think, are the top 2 guys. Kind of surprised in how the seeding went. Kirkfleet is the reigning Big Ten and national champion, so I'm surprised they didn't give him the 1 seed where Stevenson is just coming back. He's been dominant. He's been Gable Stevenson, but I'm going to go. I know before I said I'm going to go Kirkfleet. I've said it before that I think he gets it done over Stevenson. I think Stevenson beats Kirkfleet here.
All right. I'm going to keep my answer pretty short and sweet again. Stevenson versus Kirkfleet. I'm going to go Stevenson. This is a match I want to see in the national championships and see if Kirkfleet can beat him in the biggest moment.
Yeah, this is like a main event match, which Gable Stevenson wasn't able to get in the other wrestling. So, it's been hyped up all season. We've been waiting. Well, not all season. Gable Stevenson came back in, November?
I think so.
Yeah, I think November.
Since then, it's been everybody. Kirkfleet versus Gable.
It's most of the season.
Win, Greg, win.
Greg win. Nice.
And even going down the class, it's not really a deep class. They kind of cannibalize it towards the end. So the only guy that I'm going to look at as a possible threat, no, it's not going to be Dirk Morley. It's going to be Nick Feldman. He's a guy that I've got a lot of respect for. He's just the only one that I can actually see potentially upsetting a Stevenson or a Kirkfleet, even though realistically I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you're underrating the rest of this weight class because they do have a lot of top 10, top 15 guys, but I just think they're on such a different tier than these top 2 that I really can't see anyone being in the Big Ten championship other than Kirkfleet and Stevenson.
Yeah, it's no disrespect to the rest of the class. It's just again, like I talked about with Strachey and Kakaisen kind of being generational talents as compared to All-American kind of guys. That's how I see both Kirkfleet and Stevenson.
Yeah.
Well, that's all for this episode of the Matt Return. Had more errors than J.R. Smith in a championship game. But stay tuned to the Day Collegian. I'll be heading out to Evanston, Illinois this weekend. All three of us will have coverage throughout it. And we'll see you back here in a couple weeks for the National Championship podcast. I'm Evan Smith.
I'm Andrew Deal.
I'm AJ Piazza.
And until next time, speeding off.
Nice. Electric.
That was clean.
Yeah, we landed it.
Why was the outro the best part of the pod?